What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. This week we have our first of the year full division 7 round mock draft. We'll be doing the AFC South today. So the Tennessee Titans, the Houston Texans, the Indianapolis Colts, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. I landed on this division because one, they've got a team with a top five pick. They've got a team with a lot of needs at mainly one position with the Texans in the offensive line. And then you've got two teams that I haven't got to talk about so far in this draft process in the Indianapolis Colts and the Jacksonville Jaguars. I know I haven't got to talk about the Falcons or the Packers yet either. Hopefully, we'll get to those one day. I do plan on doing an NFC South 7 round mock draft at some point as well to cater to one, a bunch of Panthers fans I know from being in the Charlotte area, and two, one of my best friends is a Falcons fan as well. Do want to address this real quick. Sorry for being inconsistent to start the year. Usually my goal is once a week on either Monday or Tuesday, or potentially Wednesday uploads. And I hit that the first 2 weeks, and then the third week, which was last week, I did not end up taking or recording a video and uploading it. That was simply due straight up to not having enough time. The 2 weeks before that, I was kind of at a luxury with time due to snow in the area and being out of work due to snow. Um, but then, last weekend or the weekend, I guess, prior to when I could have recorded a video was a Super Bowl weekend. So I did stuff on Sunday with my friends for that, and then Saturday as well. I was, doing stuff with some friends. So I was out all day and not, at home and stuff and able to, sit down and have the time to record a video. So, getting started, AFC South. If you've never been here before for a divisional 7 round mock draft or for a 7 round mock draft in general, we will take a look at their roster. I used to use Our Lads for the depth chart, and then they won't let me use their website because I have one of those ad blockers. So, we will be taking a look at their roster on PFF, being able to look at, see some grades from last year as well. Because, outside of the Steelers, there's not a whole lot of teams that I get to watch every single game. And realistically, there probably is, at least, I don't even know if there is another team where I have watched every single one of their games in a season. So being able to see some grades also does help me out as well, just due to the lack of being able to, watch all these games, especially on like a Sunday 1 o'clock slate where, there's 8 to 10 games going on at a time. You're not able to watch every single one of those games, and a lot of times the Steelers are playing in that time frame as well. So I'm more locked into them. So going over here to the Tennessee Titans, starting out with them, obviously at quarterback they have Cam Ward, who I thought had a decent rookie year. He was the number one overall pick last year, obviously, and I, I was never too high on him last year. I did like him as a first round pick. I did like him as a top like 10 to 15 player in that class. But I I was always adamant about, I don't know if I would spend the first overall pick on him, but they are in a unique spot to where they did need a quarterback and they had their first overall pick. So hey, take him, right? But like I said, I thought he looked fine, especially with the lack of talent around him on the offense side of the ball and coaching wise as well. So I think they're fine there. Obviously, they're not going to target a quarterback, wide receiver. Really just a lot of mid production from these guys. Like Ao Manor, he had a better start to the year than finish, that's for sure. Shamira DK was also a rookie last year along with Ao Manor. DK was surprisingly better than I think people thought he was going to be as a receiver, but he was great in the return game for them on special teams as well, with multiple return touchdowns. And then Van Jefferson was about as advertised, below average receiver. And outside of that, they didn't really have a whole lot of production. James Prochet played 172 snaps and was not good. Xavier Restrepo in 30 snaps at a 70.9 grade, receiving grade, that is. I don't really look at this, I guess. Well, this other one's a run block, 53.5, which everybody kind of knows he's not a run blocker anyways. And then, yeah, a lot of just low numbered snaps. And then they had 250 snaps from Calvin Ridley, which weren't terrible. Um, but yeah, and um, I will talk about their needs when we get back to the draft. So I'm not going to really necessarily say, oh, yeah, wide receivers in need right now. It is, but I'll talk about that later. Running back Tajay Spears was actually kind of decent this year. Tony Pollard, I think, regressed a little bit from where he was the year before. The year before, I thought he was pretty good for Tennessee, but he just wasn't great this year. Clell Mullins, Julius Chestnut, both super low amount of snaps as well. So it was really just those two guys in the running back room. Tight end wise, rookie Gunnar Helm, who I was a fan of in last year's draft class, had a pretty decent year. Chig Okonkwo also was decently solid, like he has been the past few years, mainly more in the receiving game than blocking. And then on the offensive line, Lloyd Cushenberry took 921 snaps at center. Pass block, he was fine. Run block, he was not. They also had 1,000 snaps from a little over 1,000 snaps from Peter Skoronski, who they used their first round pick on in 2023. I wanted to say the right year. Out of Northwestern. And he was pretty good in both aspects of the game this year, blocking wise. Sorry, my bad. Had a yawn real quick. Kevin Zeitler also played 909 snaps at guard for them and was also pretty decent. So, they got a little decent pairing at guard right there. We are going to look at impending free agents as well for the Titans, which I'm going to have to get pulled up here in just a minute. And then tackle wise, they had three guys play over 300 snaps, but it was mainly held down by Dan Moore Jr., who they give a huge contract to out of Pittsburgh. And then not Pittsburgh University, but sorry, he was on the Steelers beforehand. And then their first round pick in 2022, no, 2024, my bad. I don't know why I said 2022. And JC Latham out of Alabama. Um, seventh overall pick, yeah. So I wanted to, and Skronsky was 11th. Okay. So, um, both of those guys, I do know people are kind of just like on, and their grade wise, yeah, I can get behind that. They also had 341 snaps from, I'm not sure how to say his first name. I'm just gonna say Oli Udo, which I'm gonna be completely honest with you. He's a 2019 6th round pick out of Elon. Okay. And then outside of that, they really didn't have much snaps. 195 snaps from Corey Levin that don't look terrible on the grades. And yeah, that's the offensive line for the Tennessee Titans. Going to the defense side of the ball, where it gets, to be honest, ugly. At corner, Jalen Armour Davis played 508 snaps and was not good. Kyrie Elam played 536 snaps and was not good. Daryl Baker Jr. There we go, out of South Alabama, right? No, Georgia Southern. I knew he was a Sun Belt guy. Played 723 snaps, was also not good. And then you had, Marcus Harris, surprisingly decent, 342 snaps. L'Jarius Sneed, who they paid all that money to come over from Kansas City a few years ago in free agency, was awful. I think this is the second year in a row he's put up bad numbers. Yes, it is. Out of Louisiana Tech. And then at safety, you mainly held it down with Armani Hooker, and Xavier Woods. Armani Hooker was not good. Xavier Woods was fine, I would say. And then you had Kevin Winston Jr., who I did like out of the draft last year. He played 313 snaps. Run defense and pass rush, really good. And the 117 or 107 and 19 snaps he played there. Coverage grade was awful though in his 187 snaps in coverage at a 43.4. That's still somebody that I definitely believe in. Being able to be a difference maker for them on the defense side of the ball. Linebacker, you've got Cedric Gray, who put together, that's 2 years in a row now, correct? No, sorry, my bad. He had a terrible rookie year. Also, by the way, I have a franchise currently that is the Titans, and so I'm starting to get some Madden things confused. Cedric Gray, after a terrible PFF graded rookie year, puts together a 79 grade with a 92.7 rush defense. This is a guy coming out of that 2024 draft class out of North Carolina that I talked about as a mid-round guy that I really liked. Talked about how he could just be a tackle machine, and that's what he was this year for the Titans. I talked about how in my senior year of college. Appalachian State, where I went to college at, played University of North Carolina, and I was on the sideline at the time, and it was just like Cedric Gray was in on every single play that North Carolina was on defense on. So I talked him up, and that was kind of like the thing is it was like, hey, the coverage and stuff might not be great, but he's gonna play the run well, and he's going to get you some tackles, and that's exactly what he did this year. So really good step up year from him, sophomore year from him. Cody Barton was not great in the 1,000 snaps that he played. Outside of that, Anthony Orgy, I'm pretty sure, no, he had an okay 2024 season, I guess, but he didn't play any this year. And then on the defensive line, interior wise, Tavondre Sweat, wow. I mean, what a year from Tavondre Sweat. That's 2 years in a row where he's been really good as an interior defensive lineman. And so they have a decent little combination with him, Sebastian Joseph Day, and Jeffrey Simmons, obviously, the guy that's held it down since 2019 and has been pretty solid, if not great for them. They have a pretty decent combo with those three. I think interior defensive line is like about the only spot that I don't have a guaranteed need for on the defense side of the ball for them going into free agency. Well, it is question marked. I'll go ahead and spoil that. It is a question mark position for me right now because of some free agents. But yeah. And then edge wise, Jihad Ward played 700 snaps and was not good. Oluwafemi Oladejo played 241 snaps and was not good. He's one of my guys on my Madden franchise I'm talking about that turns into a superstar. So yeah, maybe he can do that. Jalen Harrell out of Michigan. He was, what round did they take him in? Seventh round last year. Sorry, 2024, I guess. He was not good in 2024. He was pretty decent last year, though. Is that coverage? Yeah, what? But he was okay. 326 snaps. Sorry, 362 snaps. And then Arden Key, at 444 snaps was also okay, I guess. So, talking about the free agents real quick for the Tennessee Titans. Should have pulled this up before, my bad. So, talking about some free agents, Kevin Zeitler is one of those. He is probably, in my opinion, the main guy where it's like, you know, hey, if we don't bring him back, we're gonna have to get somebody else to play guard. Um, he's also on the back end of his career as well. Daryl Baker Jr., who we talked about, he's a restricted free agent though, so most likely he'll be back. But he's one of those guys where if you go back and look at it, he was not great for you. Sebastian Joseph Day is also a impending free agent with Arden Key, who I talked about on the defensive line, playing some significant snaps and being okay, if not decent. Jalen Armour Davis, Kyer Elam, who, if you look at it again, are these three guys right here who all played over 500 snaps for you at corner are actually your three leading snap players at the cornerback position are all free agents. Jihad Ward's also a free agent. Chiga Conko and Van Jefferson, who played a lot of snaps for you on the offensive side of the ball as well, are both also free agents. Their whole special teams unit is also free agents. Punter, long snapper, and kicker. So definitely a lot of questions for this Tennessee Titans going into this free agency. First off, I'm pretty sure off the top of my head they do have a decent amount of money to spend, so they got some opportunities to add some playmakers and defensive upgrades as well through free agency before the draft. But however, obviously that's all in the future, and we can't predict that. So moving on from the Titans to the Texans. Obviously, you got CJ Stroud at quarterback. People are starting to have questions about him. I'm good. I'm good. I'm going to stick to my CJ Stroud guns. He's a good quarterback. I don't know why people are starting to question. I understand. But if you look at the offensive line, man, I mean, and how injured his wide receiver room has been every single year, too. Like, come on now. Like, I just don't, I don't understand the questioning there. Like, I don't understand how you can sit here and say CJ Stroud is not a good quarterback. Moving on from the quarterback position, because I could go on and rant about CJ Stroud for hours. Moving to that wide receiver position, obviously, you got Nico Collins, who, is Nico Collins, top 10 receiver in the NFL. And then you have your two guys who you brought in together out of Iowa State last year in the second and third rounds, and Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel. Both played pretty decent. Higgins, I'd say, obviously played 768 snaps to Jalen Noel's 316. And then Christian Kirk also played well for you in moments, especially in the playoffs against the Steelers, of course. And then you also have Xavier Hutchinson, who's stepped up for you multiple times here and there. And then Tank Dell, who was a big time receiver for you as well, who missed this past year due to injury. At running back position, you got Woody Marks and Nick Chubb were kind of your 1-2 punch, obviously, all year. Jawar Jordan started taking some snaps there towards the end of the year as well, and didn't look terrible, I would say. And then Nick Chubb, I feel like he looked a lot worse than what this grade is. And then Woody Marks, I feel like actually wasn't terrible for them. So that's an interesting running back room. The tight ends, obviously you got, oh, shout out British Brooks, by the way, at fullback. That's my guy, from Gastonia, my hometown. Played against him in high school. Used to train with him and stuff. And then tight ends, you got Dalton Schultz, who's been solid for you for the past 2 years, I think now, maybe three. He's been there. Cade Stover, just Brevin, I honestly didn't even know Brevin Jordan was still on their roster. Harrison Bryant was not good in his 200 snaps that he played as well. Then the offensive line, sheesh. Jake Andrews, bad. Yeah, like bad. Well, below average. How about that? Below average. Juice Scruggs, bad. Jarrett Patterson, below average. Ed Ingram actually wasn't terrible. He was a great run blocker, pass block, not so great. Trent Brown, fine. Ariante Ursary, he's a guy I did like out of Minnesota last year in the draft. They took him in the second round, correct? Second round, pick 48. Yep. He was a good pass blocker, not a great run blocker. Blake Fisher was a good run blocker, but not a good pass blocker. Just so funny to see these grades now. And then Titus Howard, a good pass blocker, but not a good run blocker. Titus Howard is also naturally a guard. There's a lot of questions on that offensive line with, you spend a second round pick on Blake Fisher 2 years ago. Spend a second round pick on Ariante Ursary. Spend a second round pick on Ed Ingram. Like, Ed Ingram's also a free agent. Drew Scruggs, second round pick on. Like, you spend a lot of early picks on some of these guys, and I'm just interested to see what they do with them because of their lack of performance over the past 2 to 3 years. Move to the defense side of the ball. I really don't need to talk about this much. Everybody knows how good the Texans defense is. Secondary wise, you got Kamari Lassiter. You've got Derek Stingley Jr. You got Miles Bryant, who played some good ball and some significant snaps for them. Jimmy Ward is, who knows what's going on there. But he's not bad when he plays football. Kalen Bullock, good year. Jalen Petrie, an amazing year. Henry To'oTo'o, great year. Aziz Al-Sair, another good year. The list goes on and on and on. Sheldon Rankins, good year. Tim Settle, good year. Tommy Togiai, good year. Danico Autry was fine, I guess. Mario Edwards Jr. was not good. And then Will Anderson Jr. and Daniil Hunter off the edges with Derek Barnett. Dylan Horton was not good. So yeah, I don't really need to talk about that defense a whole lot. However, I do need to talk about the defense in the sense of free agents because Sheldon Rankins and Tim Settle and Derek Barnett and Miles Bryant are all, oh, sorry, and EJ Speed, missed him. That's my bad. Are all hitting free agency, who are all guys, and Danico Autry as well, who are all guys that I just discussed that played some significant snaps and were all pretty decent for you. MJ Stewart as well, who's a secondary depth piece that they have. And offense side of the ball, I talked about Ed Ingram, who played actually pretty decent for them this year. He's about one of the only decent offensive linemen that they had. And he's hitting free agency along with Trent Brown, who also played significant snaps for you on the offensive line. Christian Kirk is hitting free agency. I don't think they're going to be too worried about that, in my opinion, just due to the fact that you've got Higgins, you've got Noel, you've got Hutchinson, you've got Collins, and you've got Tank Dell coming back. I don't think they're going to be too worried about Christian Kirk being gone. And Nick Chubb is also hitting free agency. And then outside of that, I mean, Daria Agumbawale has been like a return guy for them, I think. Special teams guy. Harrison Bryant, I just said, had a bad year, so I don't think they're really worried about him either. So yeah, that is the Houston Texans. And again, I will get to needs when we get there. Now, a team that I haven't got to talk about at all, the Indianapolis Colts. What questions do they have going into this offseason? A lot. Obviously, elephant in the room is their quarterback position, right? They bring in Daniel Jones on a cheap contract and he balls out. Then he gets hurt, team goes to absolute crap, right? And they lose, I think it's like 7 games in a row to end the year or six, something like that. Um, and then obviously you've got Anthony Richardson, who is your fourth overall pick in the first round in 2023, who has not, if calling a spade, not looked great in his injury riddled career in the NFL. Riley Leonard didn't look terrible, and then he brought in Philip Rivers. Um, so yeah, that quarterback room is definitely questionable for sure, especially with Daniel Jones hitting free agency and getting hurt later in the year. What are you going to do there, right? Wide receivers, you got Josh Downs, who had a great year. Alec Pierce, career year. Michael Pittman Jr. still solid as always. And then you really don't have too much depth outside of those guys. Ashton Dulin did play 166 snaps and was below average, I would say. Anthony Gould, who fifth round pick in 2024 out of Oregon State, not great in his 58 snaps that he played. And then you only had one other receiver play a snap, and Coleman Owen, who I've never heard of out of Ohio. Oh, sorry, and Laquan Treadwell. I missed him down here at 36 snaps. And I mean, we all know what Laquan Treadwell is. Running back, obviously, you've got Jonathan Taylor, right? You've got Jonathan Taylor. I think maybe you could look at bringing in a backup, but I'm not sure. I mean, you did take DJ Giddens in the fifth round in last year's draft out of Kansas State. He was a guy that I did kind of like. So, who knows? Amir Abdullah did play 87 snaps, and we all know what Amir Abdullah is as well. Tight end wise, you took Tyler Warren in the first round last year with the 14th overall pick. Mo Alley Cox was also pretty decent. He's been pretty decent there for a few years for them. Andrew Ogletree played a lot of snaps. He's more of a run blocking tight end, or sorry, pass blocking tight end. My bad. Um, and then offensive line, Tanner Bortolini put together a good year for them. Fourth rounder out of Wisconsin. He was a guy like the 2024 draft class. Second good year in a row for him at that center position. Quentin Nelson is Quentin Nelson. Matt Goncalves, I don't know how I say it, to be honest. 2024 third round pick out of Pittsburgh. He put together another decent year as well. And then at tackles, you got Bernard Ryman. There we go. I was going to say Burchard for some reason. And Braden Smith. Braden Smith, down year, but I think he's fine. Jalen Travis, who did play 316 snaps for you as well, also was pretty decent. On the defense side of the ball, you got Mekhi Blackman, who played 784 snaps for you and was not good. You traded for Sauce Gardner, and he was fine, but he was injured. Travarius Ward was good for you. Kenny Moore was good for you. And then outside of that, not really any production. Jonathan Edwards did play 313 snaps to qualify for a PFF grade and was awful. At safeties, you've got Cam Bynum, you've got Rodney Thomas, who was fine and has 150 snaps. You got Nick Cross, who was below average, I guess, at best. So safety, got to look there probably as well. Again, I'll talk about needs later. Linebackers, you got Zaire Franklin, who terrible year. And he's really just kind of starting to decline. 2018 seventh round pick out of Syracuse was a guy, high motor tackle guy, almost like Cedric Gray I was talking about earlier. And it's just starting to decline. Jermaine Pratt was fine. You brought him in over from, oh my gosh, Cincinnati, right? Yeah, he was on the Bengals. Yeah. And then defensive line, you got a War out of Northwestern, who is a guy that I will admit, I was wrong on him coming out of that 2023 draft class. You got Neville Gallimore, Grover Stewart, who are both below average, I'd say, but guys that can come in and give you something at least. DeForest Buckner is DeForest Buckner. Everybody knows that. Outside of that, defensive line wise, not a whole lot of snaps, not a whole lot of production. And then edge rusher wise, you do have Samson Ibakam, who was below average. Tyquan Lewis was awful. Kwity Paye was also below average. Latu was actually very good for you. And JT Tuimoloau and his 215 snaps was also below average. So yeah, defense side of the ball, interesting. Looking at the free agents for the Colts, you do got Nick Cross, Jermaine Pratt, Kwity Paye, Neville Gallimore, Samson Ibaka, and Tyquan Lewis all hitting free agency from the defensive side of the ball that we talked about. And then offensively, Alex Pierce, Braden Smith, Daniel Jones, Mo Alley Cox. So, definitely some interesting names there. Rodney Thomas is also hitting free agency. I didn't even see him down there. Definitely some interesting names here for the Colts hitting free agency. And last but not least, the Jaguars, a team that we have also not got to talk about yet. Good year from the Jaguars. Great year from the Jaguars. Liam Cohen, really good first year as a head coach. I will say this, they surprised me. I was not a fan of the Liam Cohen hiring, and they were good. The Jaguars were good. They were a good team. Um, Trevor Lawrence career year, 83.7 grade. What is that? 4 points higher than his highest grade on PFF. Wide receiver wise, you went out and you traded for Jacoby Myers, Parker Washington. What a year he had. I mean, wow, 85.6 receiving grade. Travis Hunter was fine. I did see a report talking about that Travis Hunter was going to be a more of a full-time corner next year, part-time receiver, which I figured it was going to end up being that way anyways. I talked about that in the draft videos last year. Brian Thomas Jr. with a down year after a great freshman year, or a great rookie year, sorry. De'Ami Brown was not very good. You brought him in from Washington after he had a really good year in 2024, and he just was not good. He was also not very healthy. Travis Hunter did go down for a good period of the year as well, season-ending injury. And then Tim Patrick was below average, I'd say. Running back wise, you got ETN, you got LaQuint Allen, you got Brayshaw Tootin. All three guys are going to provide you something. LaQuint Allen, more of a receiver than anything. Brayshaw Tootin was another guy that did get injured and was out for an extended period of time. He was fine. He's more of a pure rusher, power back. And then ETN, is that guy that is elusive, can do both. He can catch the football and he can run. What a good year from ETN, man. And that's what happens, right? When you have a team that has a really good year. Trevor Lawrence, good year. Parker Washington, really good year. Travis Etienne, really good year. Brenton Strange, whoa, where did that come from? Really good year at the tight end position for them. Hunter Long, not great. Johnny Munt, not great. Robert Hainsey, I feel like was better than what is showing here. Really good pass blocker. Run block was not great. Sorry, I said that backwards. My bad. I'm so sorry. Run blocking was great. Pass blocking was good. I think I said it. I think now that I'm thinking about that, I might have said that backwards. The whole Titans roster look over as well. Wyatt Milam in 111 snaps was not bad. This is a guy that I liked out of last year's draft class out of West Virginia. They took him in the third round. He was a tackle in college. It was pretty obvious he was projected to play guard. Not bad. Patrick McCarry, not good. Ezra Cleveland was pretty decent. Anton Harrison had a good year. Cole Van Landen had a good year, a guy they gave a big extension to. And Walker Little was below average, I would say. On the defense side of the ball, cornerback wise, Greg Newsome, who they did trade for in the middle of the year, they traded. Oh my gosh, who did they trade over there? Tyson Campbell. They traded Tyson Campbell to Cleveland for Greg Newsome. He was not great. Caleb Ransaw did not play any snaps to my surprise. And then Jarian Jones had a really good year. He was a big guy that stepped up. Same with Monteric Brown in that secondary. Jordan Lewis, another good year as well. Antonio Johnson rated out as the #1 safety. Wow, I did not know that. Okay, Antonio Johnson. I knew he had a good year, but I didn't know that. Andrew Wingard was not very good. Eric Murray was below average. Linebacker wise, Devin Lloyd, great year from Devin Lloyd, 88.4 PFF grade. He just continues to get better, man. One of the best, middle off-ball linebackers in the league, to be honest, in my opinion. Yeah, Foyesei Aluakonda also had another good year. Ventrell Miller in 220 snaps was not terrible at a 72.6 PFF grade. D-line wise, Mason Smith, not good again. Unfortunate. This is a guy that I kind of liked as a back end defensive lineman out of LSU in that 2024 draft class. I took him in the second round, and he just has not been great. Rick Armstead was good. Devon Hamilton was below average. Dewan Smoot was not good. Dennis Gardeck was fine, I would say. Emmanuel Ogba was not good. And then Trayvon Walker had a good year, and Josh Hahn Allen's another great year for the edge rush out of Kentucky that they took in the first round of 2019. Cam Little also. Wow, what a year from Cam Little, right? Um, and then free agency wise for Jacksonville, they do have some key guys as well. Obviously, Andrew Wingard, I would probably let him go, to be honest. Greg Newsome, Monteric Brown. So really in that secondary, they're taking a hit. Devin Lloyd is a guy that you got to bring back. Travis Etienne, I think, is a guy that you got to bring back as well. Like I said, Cole Van Lannon was hitting free agency, and they went ahead and extended him. Dewan Smoot, Dennis Gardeck, De'Ami Brown, Emmanuel Agba, Tim Patrick, all hitting free agency as well. So, with all of that being said, finally, we get into the draft. This is a 7-round mock draft for all 4 teams in the AFC South. Let's get into it. Real quick, before we get into it, I'm going to talk about what picks they have and what needs I have for these teams going into free agency. If you haven't heard me talk about before, these are my pre-free agency needs. These are all based on you have impending free agents at this position. What if you don't bring them back? It then becomes a need or it doesn't, right? So the Tennessee Titans have pick 4, 35, 66, 101, 140, 142. So they have 6 picks in the top 150 plus 183 and 238. Pre-free agency needs I have for the Tennessee Titans are the following: wide receiver, center, corner, linebacker, edge rusher, all as for sure needs. As question mark needs, I said tight end. I guess that really depends on what more personnel is going to be ran over there this year after bringing in Robert Saleh, because Chigakonkwo could be gone, and then you only got Gunnar Helm pretty much. And I'm a fan of having at least two decent tight ends on your team. I put guard due to the Kevin Zeitler being an impending free agent, and I put interior defensive line as a question mark as well, with guard and tight end due to impending free agents at the position like Sebastian Joseph Day. And I also have on as a backup position of need quarterback. They had Brandon Allen in there, still got Will Levis in there, I guess, as well. But yeah, moving on. Houston Texans have picked 28, 38, 59, 38 is from that Laremy Tunsil trade, by the way. 59, 69. I'm not sure what trade that is off the top of my head. They got it from the Giants. 106, 128, 165, 243, 244. So they have 6 picks as well inside of the top 150. Houston Texans needs O-line, mainly in the interior, in my opinion, mainly at center and one of their guard positions. Interior defensive line as well. And then I have depth needs at corner, linebacker, and edge, mainly due to free agency. Colts, they have 47, 78, 113, 154, 216, 230, and 253. So they have 3 picks inside the top 50 and 1 just outside of the top 50. Needs for the Indianapolis Colts. I have no glaring needs. This is why I said earlier they have a lot of question marks going into this offseason of free agency. I have no glaring needs technically, but I have a ton of question mark needs. Quarterback, tackle, safety, linebacker, and edge rusher, all question marks. Those are probably going to be the positions we'll attack here in the draft. And then depth-wise, I do say they need wide receiver depth and linebacker depth, especially because I think Alec Pierce is going to probably leave in free agency. I said they need a backup running back that's more of a third down back specialist, like a receiving back. And then I also put question mark as backup tight end due to Mo Alley Cox hitting free agency. And then the Jacksonville Jaguars, before we get into the draft, they have 56, 81, 88, 100, 124, 162, 164, 233, and 245. So they have 5 picks in the top 150. And I also have no glaring needs for them, but again, a bunch of question marks due to free agency. Question mark position of need: running back, safety, linebacker, and edge rusher. And then also I have backup tight end, cornerback depth, and IDL depth all needed. So let's get into this draft and do it. On the clock at number 4 overall, after it went Fernando Mendoza, Ruben Bain Jr., and David Bailey, we're gonna lean towards our boy Arvell Reese, who I did pick to them in the first round mock that we did the other week. I just think that that makes the most sense. I really think that it's down between, hey, Ruben Bain, David Bailey, Arvell Reese, and I do think Caleb Downs is in question as well. And I don't think they would take Sonny Styles that early, especially because I think you can get a linebacker later. But yeah, I think that's an easy pick for Tennessee between one of those three guys. For the Houston Texans here at 28, I could see the argument for Lee Hunter, but with some offensive linemen sitting here, and I think my guy is going to be over here on the interior offensive line, and Emmanuel Pregnon. This is a guy that I have pushed for. Hey, this is a first round talent to me, so I'm going to take him here at 28. Go ahead and get him off the board. Then the Titans are going to come up here at 35. I think this is just simply, hey, who's the best player on the board? And in my opinion, I wouldn't attack center yet. I'd probably attack that at 66 or 101, probably, maybe 140. I would probably look corner linebacker here, due to, just taking Arvell Reese, who's probably going to play edge for you. I do think there's going to be some solid edge rushers as well sitting here on the board for you to be able to get. I do see Keith Abney and Colton Hood here. I think you could double down at edge rusher. I do think you could go R. Mason Thomas, Gabe Yakis. But with my guy, Omar Cooper Jr. and Chris Bell sitting here, I would take Chris Bell here if the injury concern wasn't a thing, 100%. But with that being concerned, I want to go ahead and get Cam Ward, an extra playmaker. We're going to take Omar Cooper Jr. That's probably not the last receiver that we're going to take either. Okay, Houston Texans at 28, William Emmanuel Pregnon. I think you can look center later. I do think I do realistically think Jadarian Price could be in play here or Jonah Coleman. However, I am going to skip out on that. I'm going to go to the interior defensive line, and I do see Christian Miller sitting here still, and I'm going to go ahead and take him since he is still on the board here at pick 38. Then it gets to the Indianapolis Colts at pick 47, their first pick of the draft. Like I said, no glaring needs for sure. I think they're going to solve the quarterback issue, and who knows what's going on here with Chambliss. I know that he got granted another year by the judge, whatever. I don't think in my opinion, I don't think Trinidad Chambliss plays a college football snap again. But I do think they'll figure out quarterback, in my opinion. I think at worst case scenario, you do still have Anthony Richardson and Riley Leonard on the roster. So I think you could look offensive tackle with the potential of Braden Smith being gone in free agency. He's a guy, though, that I think that they definitely bring back. I think safety's in play. I just don't know if there's a safety I would take this early. Linebacker and edge rusher, I think, are also in play as well. I think edge rusher is probably the best room that is left on the board here. So I am going to go ahead and take an edge rusher. Now I'm going to take, Derek Moore, Romello Heights. I do like Zion Young as well, but I feel like they like more of the athletic guys rather than like the power heavy handed guys like Zion Young. I think they would like more of a Romello Heights. So I'm going to go Romello Height out of Texas Tech at pick 47. And the first pick of the draft for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I discussed running back being a question mark need. I don't think they go running back. Jadarian Price and Jonah Coleman are both still here. I think they would probably lean Jadarian Price in that situation, but I do think Etienne comes back for sure. So I think you then look safety linebacker for them, maybe edge rusher as well. Again, I think you could start to make the argument for Kamari Ramsey. I really like Bud Clark. I think he's a guy due to the simulator I can get at a later time. I think edge rusher, again, is probably the best room still left in this draft class at the time on the board. So I'm going to take Derek Moore out of Michigan. 59 for the Texans. We went Emmanuel Pregnon. We went Christian Miller. And then this is where I think that you can look, interior offensive line. And I'm going to go ahead and take Connor Lew out of Auburn to the Houston Texans there. 66 for the Titans. We took Arvell Reese. We took Omar Cooper Jr. And this is where I think you go and you say, hey, let's get the best defensive player on the board, right? And in my opinion, again, I don't know if there's a linebacker I would take this early at least. I do like these three guys, but more like in that third, fourth round range. So I think you look corner because there is still some talent left here on the board at the cornerback position. Unfortunately, Chris Johnson is already gone. So I am going to go Chandler Rivers out of Duke. Um, a guy that I don't really mind that much. So we went Connor Lew, Emmanuel Pregnon, Christian Miller for the Houston Texans. I think now you do look, I mean, hey, if you want to take another guard, but I think that this makes a lot of sense. This might not be the popular pick here, but I see Jadarian Price sitting here, and that's a guy that I like a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and get him off the board there to the Titans. I mean, sorry, to the Texans. Colts at 78. We took Romello Height. I think now you got to look safety linebacker probably. Um, I think receiver you can take later. But I don't know if we're going to be able to get one of our guys that I really like at linebacker at 113. Maybe Torian York, but that's like pushing it. And then after that, it gets pushed down. And there's more safeties that I like over linebackers. So I know this might be considered early in some people's mind, but I'm gonna go ahead and take Kyle Lewis out of Pittsburgh. Just athletic linebacker. I think that Indianapolis is always drafted on athleticism, in my opinion. And so I think that's the guy that they would be enamored with in the draft process. Jacksonville at 83, or sorry, 81, my bad. We went Derek Moore in the first round to help at that edge rushing room. I do think that you look safety linebacker here as well. And again, I think it's going to be considered early. I like more safeties down the board, and I'm probably going to take one here at pick 88 in a minute anyways, but I'm going to go ahead and get my guy Jacob Rodriguez out of Texas Tech there at 81. And then I was just talking about it. I do see Dalen Everett sitting here. I know that they like Georgia guys, so I don't mind him as just kind of like more of a BPA approach. Um, but I'm gonna go ahead and get them a safety. I talked about that as a need, and it's a guy that I just talked about that I like a lot, Bud Clark out of TCU. A guy that started to rise up in this draft process. Jaguars on the clock again, and I think this is where it starts to get hard in these videos because I've talked about all these players, talked about all these teams and all these positions. Um, I'm gonna go get them a backup tight end. Oh no, Justin Jolie went. He did. Man, I should have took Justin Jolie with my last pick and then took Bud Clark. Okay, we'll wait on tight end. I don't mind Nate Borkacher. Eli Reardon's fine. Tanner Koziel's fine too. I think he's a guy that we can probably get later. Um, so I think I'm just gonna go BPA here for the Jaguars. I talked about running back, but there's a lot of guys I'd probably take later. So we did take Bud Clark, Jacob Rodriguez, and Derek Moore. Um, I'm gonna go tight end later. I said IDL depth is a possibility as well, and I see Skylar Gill Howard sitting here, who's a guy that I really like. So I'm gonna go ahead and take him. At 101 for the Titans, we took a corner, we took a linebacker, well, we took an edge rusher, really. Took a wide receiver again. I think it's just BPA. I do see Zakee Wheatley sitting here, who I don't mind. I think safety is one of the more like lesser needs though there for them. So I do think you could go linebacker here. I just don't know. Torian York is the last linebacker really that I feel super comfortable with, so I'm going to go ahead and take him. 106 for the Texans, which this is from Washington, so I'm gonna assume that they also got this in the Laramie Tunsil trade. We took a center, we took a guard, we took a defensive lineman, we took a running back. So I think you could look at this and say, hey, let's just go get some depth pieces here. And I do think corner could be of use at depth wise. I think Brian Parker Jr. could be a pick here for them as well. I think JC Davis could be a pick here if you want to say, hey, let's just go get another guy for competition who could end up being a starter for us. But I see Malik Muhammad sitting here, who I do like. Let's go add a corner to that room, just depth, at least for them. Took Romello Height and Kyle Lewis for the Indianapolis Colts. And I think you could look safety here. A guy that I like that's kind of ranked farther down here is Bishop Fitzgerald out of Southern Cal. And I know that this is going to be considered a reach in some people's eyes, but I'm going to go ahead and take him. I do like Bishop Fitzgerald out of Southern Cal. I like both of those Southern Cal safeties in this draft class, both Bishop Fitzgerald and oh my goodness, why is his name why is his name drawing a blank for me? Oh my goodness, the other safety out of Southern Cal, Kamari Ramsey. Um, remembered it before I found him. I do like both of those guys though. Okay, so Jacksonville again, like you've got five more picks actually, and we've really kind of attacked the positions that I've thought about. I'm gonna take a running back due to the fact that what if Travis Etienne does leave? And you've got Tootin and LaQuint Allen. Okay, hey, let's go get one more guy in there for competition. And I think that's gonna have to be Le'Veon Moss for me. He had an injury riddled career at Texas A&M, but when he played, man, I liked him. I liked him a lot. I think he was pretty good. Texans, we took Jajarian Price, Connor Lew, Malik Muhammad, Maynard Pregnon, and Christian Miller. I think this is a great opportunity to just continue to hit that offensive line. Isaiah World being here, Jude Bowery are both two guys I don't mind. I don't mind Demetrius Crownover as well. I think interior could probably be more of the attack. Oh, DJ Campbell is sitting here. Bo Stevens. Oh, Marjorie Adams. Yeah, I like a Marjorie Adams as a fourth, fifth round guy out of Texas A&M to add into that interior offensive line depth. Again, attack, attack, attack. If you're the Tennessee Titans, and I think, dude, I mean, with Tony Pollard kind of regressing, Tajay Spears me more of a receiving back in my opinion. Nick Singleton's just sitting here. I'm going to go ahead and take Nick Singleton out of Penn State. Oh, and we have another pick. We can make it three Penn State players in a row. Oh, Kevin Coleman Jr. went right before Nick Singleton. Oh, man, I love Kevin Coleman Jr., dude. He's so good. Tennessee, we've taken a receiver. Do we go get this center now? Yeah, we do. Pat Coogan sitting here. I'm gonna take Pat Coogan out of Indiana. A guy that I don't mind. There for them. So we took Bishop Fitzgerald, Kyle Lewis, and Romello Height, who are three kind of my guys. If you look at this and you're a Colts fan, you're probably like, oh my God, this awful draft. I don't mind this. I'm gonna go take a receiver here just because I know there's gonna be talent left on the board. I could understand if you wanted to go interior of the defensive line here. Maybe I should. Or should we take a tackle because Braden Smith is a free agent? Yeah, we'll take a tackle. Demetrius Crownover out of Texas A&M. Jaguars at 162. We're taking Derek Moore, Jacob Rodriguez, Bud Clark, Skylar Go Howard, and Le'Veon Moss. I'm going to take that tight end now, and I'm going to go get Tanner Koziel, I think is how you say it, out of Houston. And then we're right back up at 164 for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I'm going to take maybe add a corner for depth there and really just hit all of the things I have written down. I don't mind Devin Marshall. Yeah, we can go Devin Marshall to NC State there for the Jaguars at 164. Right back up at 165 for the Texans. Wow, okay. We've taken two guards, we've taken a center, we've taken an interior defensive lineman, we've taken a running back, we've taken a corner. Then you look BPA here. Should we take an offensive tackle, just really attack that offensive line? I don't mind it. I really don't. Trey Zune, the third. It's probably my best. It's probably my best go-to here, in my opinion. I don't mind Drew Shelton, but I haven't watched Emil Wagner, I would say it. Nolan Rucci is I like Shelton better than Rucci, but I probably like Zune the best out of these guys. Wow, he had a 96.8 pass block grade, but an awful run block grade. But hey, that's been they need somebody. We're gonna take two Texas A&M offensive linemen for them. Again, I think this is just a hey, who's the best player available that can play defense? I see DeMonte Capehart here, which I don't mind for Tennessee. We've got an edge rusher, got a linebacker, got in a corner. Um, got that center, got a running back, got a wide receiver. I'm gonna take another wide receiver at 238 probably. Um, or do we just go get another edge rusher? Who's left here in the edge rusher room? Ooh. My guy Caden Curry, who's just hidden down there. I always forget he's hidden down there. We're gonna take him. Colts, we're gonna go quarterback here. Just to add somebody in the room, just to be safe, and it's gonna be my guy, Taylor Green. Colts again. We've hit quarterback, we've hit tackle, we've hit safety, we've hit linebacker, we've hit edge rusher. Let's go get let's go get a tight end. No, let's go get a receiver. Let's go get a receiver. I see Dylan Bell. I see Colin Lacey. I see Colby Young. I see Malik Rutherford. I see Romello Brinson. We'll go with my guy down here in Colby Young out of Georgia. Jacksonville Jaguars. We've hit edge rusher. We've hit linebacker. We've hit safety. We've hit interior defensive line depth. We've hit running back. We've hit backup tight end. We've hit corner depth. So we've literally taken every single position of need that I have written down. So it never hurts to add offensive line depth, and we haven't taken an offensive lineman for them yet. So we're gonna go get my guy Tristan Lee out of Clemson, add him into that Clemson field offense with Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne. Titans, we attacked two edge rushers. We got a corner. We got a linebacker. I really do think you could just take another corner, to be honest. I think you take another receiver, another corner here. I think the obvious choice for me out of my guys that are still left is Colin Lacey out of Louisville. But corner wise, I think Deshaun Jones and Jalen Gilbo are probably about the two best. Charles Demings out of Stephen F. Austin. We're gonna double down at receiver because I think they just need that much help there. We're gonna take my guy Colin Lacey out of Louisville. Texans, still got two picks left. Let's go add a quarterback into that quarterback room for some depth. Why not? We'll take Sawyer Robertson out of Baylor. And then another pick at 244. Did we take a linebacker? We didn't. Let's go take a linebacker for some depth purposes, or do we take another IDL? Let's take another IDL with Landon Robinson out of Navy. And then um, Jacksonville for fun. For fun. I see Micah Morris. I see Connor Tolleson. We can go Connor Tolleson out of Missouri. I don't mind him that much. Micah Morris isn't terrible either. There's Bryce Foster still here. There's a lot of centers in the class that I really don't like mind. Yeah, let's do it. We'll take Connor Tolleson out of Missouri. And the Colts down all the way down here at 253. And the last pick, I know everybody's excited about this, the last pick of the draft here in this long second half of this draft. The Colts, we went edge rusher, we went linebacker, we went safety, we went tackle, we went cornerback, and we went receiver. We're going to go take a running back with some receiving potential. And feel like Jamal Haynes fits that. I feel like Noah Whittington could fit that. His 5'8", 203 build. Doesn't really talk about he had 19 receptions for 98 yards. Adam Randall, that is a receiving running back right there. That's for sure. If you don't know about Adam Randall, started his career at Clemson as a wide receiver. And this past year, his senior year, transitioned to running back. So that is our draft here for the AFC South 7-round mock draft. Real quick, Titans, Arvell Reese. Texans, Emmanuel Pregnon. Titans, Omar Cooper Jr. Texans, Christian Miller. Colts, Romello Height. Jaguars, Derek Moore. Texans, Connor Liu. Titans, Chandler Rivers. Texans, Jadarian Price. Colts, Kyle Lewis. Jaguars, Jacob Rodriguez. Jaguars, Bud Clark. Jaguars, Skylar Gill Howard. Titans, Torian York. Texans, Malik Muhammad. Colts, Bishop Fitzgerald. Jaguars, Le'Veon Moss. Colts, I mean, sorry, ooh, my bad. Sorry, Texans, Armaj Reed Adams. There we go. Titans, Nick Singleton. Titans, Pat Coogan. Did I miss one? Nope, sorry. Colts, Demetrius Crownover. Jaguars, Tanner Koziel. Jaguars, Devin Marshall. Texans, Trey Zone the third. Zune, however you say it. Texas A&M. Titans, Caden Curry. Long sixth round with no picks. Colts, Taylon Green. And then to the seventh round, we have the Colts with Colby Young. The Jaguars with Tristan Lee. The Titans with Colin Lacey. The Texans with Sawyer Robinson and Landon Robinson. The Jaguars with Connor Tolleson. And to end it out, the Colts with Adam Randall. We appreciate you. I say we, and it's only me. But I appreciate you stopping by. If this is your first time, hit the like button, comment, let me know what you thought. If these are one of your four favorite teams, let me know. I don't care. If you want to say that I am an idiot and I don't know anything about football, be my guest, right? But let me know what you think about the draft. And next week, I'm going to try to get one in again, try to get back on that consistency of one a week. See what we can do. Probably a team-led 7-round mock draft again for a singular team this time, I think. And yeah, man, I appreciate y'all stopping by, and I appreciate all the love and support every single time, whether it's 2 views or, hey, our 7-round mock draft for the Steelers almost at 3,000, you know? But yeah, man, appreciate you stopping by, and we'll see y'all next time. Peace.